Now, I don't know about you, but this is the point of the window where the conspiracy theories, well, they're going off the hook. We've got moving vans, we've got online tweets going crazy, but what's real and what's fake? I have no idea. But we're going to talk about it right after this in today's Arsenal Transfer Show. Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Transfer Show on the Gooner Talk, joining you every single morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Thank you so much, as always, for doing so and making this a part of your morning routines. It is greatly appreciated. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to do so. I'm going to give you a quick heads up, and you can probably tell by the attire this morning, not in an Arsenal kit, we're in a golf shirt. What could that mean, I wonder? So it's going to be a slightly condensed show. I've got to beat the M25 traffic because it's my day off and I am taking it to play a little bit of golf with some friends of mine on the Arsenal beat. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But good morning to you all. We've sorted the camera out, which is good. We've sorted out the lighting a bit more as well. So I'm hoping that you can see and hear me very clearly and that things are moving at a normal speed and they aren't just like that. You know what I mean? Good morning to you all. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening and tuning in. Really appreciate your time. We've got Martin and Darbas and Ansa. We've got Jamil and Pam. We've got Olawale, we've got Alawe, we've got Z, we've got Tom, we've got Jean, we've got who else have we got in the chat? James, we've got Brad, we've got Brian and Gracie, we've got Knowledge, we've got Amira, Matt G, plenty more of you guys and girls in the chat box as well. Thank you so much as always for tuning in. Greatly appreciate you being here. Balatu says Tom's finally back golfing. Enjoy. It's the second time I've played in a week, which is a lot, but they're the two times I've played in about 8 months. Yeah, we're trying to get the swing back, trying to get the consistency back, trying to beat that mythical 100 score. Yes, I'm still trying to break double digits as consistently. I have done it a number of times, but on a consistent base, it's hard. It's hard. It's really difficult. I was speaking to someone the other day that said there's more chance of you being struck by lightning than breaking 90, as in more people in this world have been hit by lightning than golfers have beaten a score of 90. Golf's hard. It's really difficult. And I'm trying my absolute best. I really, really am. So do bear with me in this golfing journey. And it is definitely weather dependent as well. Yeah. And thankfully in the UK, we've had some exceptional weather. It's fair to say. Some absolutely brilliant weather over the last however many weeks. But good morning to you all. And thank you so much. Sorry, Dave, that StreamYard mugged you off. I won't mug you off, but StreamYard definitely will. Right, let's jump into today's stories, and we kick off with the brilliance that is Chloe Kelly. What an impact yesterday. What an unbelievable moment that we found ourselves watching, embracing, enjoying, loving about the England against Sweden game. England 2-0 down. Of course, Stina Blackstenius, nearly like she did with Barcelona, damaged damaged England hearts with, of course, her performance, of course, as well. And it was for Chloe Kelly to come off the bench, to be our own Stina Blackstenius, if you like, and to give England an opportunity to take the game to extra time with her 2 crosses that led to 2 goals, and then go to one of the most entertaining penalty shootouts in living memory. It was brilliant. Like, I don't know about you, but what an amazing... I found it the most frustrating thing in the world. The Swedish goalkeeper just worked it out. I don't know if you worked it out as well. But all that was going on was if a right footer stepped up, they would shoot left. If a left footer stepped up, they would shoot right. And it wasn't until the players started to realise that, like Chloe, for instance, who is a right footer as well, and she shot to the right, that it would count more so and it would actually go in. Amazing game. Very entertaining penalty shootout. England go through. I believe they're playing Italy in the semi-finals with a great chance of getting to another European final. Brilliant. But the other Arsenal girls, of course, Alessia Russo had a chance to win it right at the end. Couldn't quite take it. Had 2 opportunities, in fact. Worked incredibly hard, though. incredibly, incredibly hard. Had a really, really, really solid game. So fair play to her. Beth Mead, of course, involved in the second goal as well. Leah Williamson, hopefully her injury's not too bad and she'll be fine to carry on for the rest of the tournament as well. But she was also great too. So plenty of Arsenal representation doing very, very good things. Sticking with the women's game, though, and Arsenal confirmed the record-breaking signing of Olivia Smith, who has joined Arsenal from Liverpool in what I said there, a record-breaking £1 million deal. The 20-year-old forward has joined the club and is expected to be one of the signings of the summer in the women's game. Really good piece of business, of course, by Arsenal, and, of course, a moment in the sport. A moment that is potentially a sign of things to come, and a sign that Arsenal could end up, being a trailblazer for transfer fees moving forwards as well. £1 million, first ever female player to reach that figure. Olivia Smith will join Arsenal, and we'll see the impact that she can have on this team. Can they make them double European champions 2 times in a row? Can they make them triple European champions overall? We will wait and see what happens. But great move. Congratulations to her. Moving on to the men's side, and Arsenal could be set to announce Christian Mosquera after all of the paperwork was completed for the Spanish Youth International's transfer to Arsenal. He has completed his medical now in London, and all that awaits is the announcement. The same could be said of Noni Madueke, of course, as well. There's a real anticipation about when these signings will be announced. Still, everything is done with Madueke and, of course, with Mosquera. It's a case of now when. It could be today. There is an expectation that announcements will happen. There isn't really the same pressure on the Madueke announcement because, of course, he can't really, I imagine, will choose not to go on the tour initially because he'll be entitled to 3 weeks holiday, and he should take it. Players should take it. They're entitled to that holiday. They should take it. So there's not the same amount of pressure on Madueke's announcement. But Mosquera, of course, who is wanted on the tour by Arteta, he already begun his pre-season training with Valencia. He, of course, as well. I don't know why the lights, what has happened there? Goodness gracious me. My lighting has disappeared. But yes, there is an expectation that Christian Mosquera will be announced at some stage, and maybe even today. And it's one of those. It's one of those. Anyway, moving on to our next story, of course. Arsenal have won the race, as we know, for Will Wright. And what an amazing moment, of course, for Will Wright. And what an amazing transfer this could be, and a scoop for Arsenal to steal him away from Liverpool. It's just nice, isn't it? Getting a transfer over Liverpool, getting a player from under the noses of your rivals is always a nice thing, always a brilliant thing. So yes, Arsenal are set to confirm that signing of Will Wright very soon, as the academy is allocated more funds, more money to their project from Salford. Is where he's, of course, coming from as well. So Will Wright to join Arsenal, and we are spending those funds. £200,000 is the suggested fee. There's been some claims it could go as high as £400,000 with add-ons, but that's the latest, of course, in the youth side of things. But the big story of yesterday, and I'll sort this lighting out because my ring light above me has just decided to fall over. But the big story of yesterday was, is this fake news? Pictures on CNN circulating in Portugal of a house with a moving van outside of it, and claims that this is indeed Viktor Gyokeres' house, and that this indeed is an indication that the player is on his way to Arsenal. So is it real, or is it indeed fake news? Well, the image, of course, has a scrolling piece of text at the bottom of it. None of that is to do with Viktor Gyökeres. All it says there, translated from Portuguese, is mountainous regions of Madeira Island under orange warning due to something. I imagine maybe fire or heat, something to do with that. But the ticker doesn't give us any information as to what this is. But this circulated around social media like wildfire, quite literally, yesterday. And the suggestions are that the player is in Sweden right now. According to the records in Portugal, this is indeed the case, and the player is in Sweden right now awaiting confirmation of the deal being completed so that he can take that flight to London to get all of the relevant documents done in order to become an Arsenal player. So waiting that final decision still. We're still waiting, of course, for the final details to be agreed. The negotiation between the clubs are still ongoing, but this is the biggest indication. If true, this is classic Arsenal transfer window stuff, this, that we, of course. And if not, someone's house has got a lot of press, and maybe they'll get an even higher offer on their house. I suppose if they're moving, it's already been done and dusted. But yeah, it's crazy kind of what's going on. There was claims about a plane going from Portugal to London. Well, apparently he's in Sweden, so that wouldn't really matter either. But maybe it's from Stockholm to London, of course, that we're now looking out for. Goodness gracious. We love the transfer window. This is what we live for. We also live for your questions. So let's go to part 2. Let's see if I can sort out this lighting and more right after this. Right, this is indeed part 2 of today's show, where we're going to be tackling some of your questions, some of your thoughts, some of your theories. Of course, it's a condensed show, I said, so we're only going to do this for the next 10 minutes or so, because then I've got to head off down the M25. Or round. No one really goes down. I suppose you could go down the M25. You're going up the east, but this is really boring. Anyway, moving into your questions. Paul says, come on, Gunners, get the deal done. Also, I can't believe I managed to miss out Michelle Adjaman's mention in the first part of the show. Apologies, Freema. For putting that in the chat box, but sorry, Michelle. I really, really genuinely didn't mean to forget you and your contribution, which of course was massive in England getting through to that semi-final. So yes, Michelle Adjaman with that brilliant goal, and for a player, of course, just 19 years of age, amazing achievement. So yes, thank you to the chat box for holding me to ransom on that. And appreciate you doing so. Please do feel free to always do that. If I absolutely make a clear and obvious error, do point it out to me. I won't be like VAR and stubbornly stick to my opinion. I will hold my hands up. So please tell me. Right, let's go to Raul. Says, Tom, initially you were saying this window is about adding, not replacing. However, currently what Arsenal are just doing is adding and replacing. Madueke for Sterling, Eze for Trossard. To be fair, Sterling isn't really a player I'm looking at and going, Sterling was effectively like not having anybody there, if we're honest, with respect, as much as respect there can be. This window, of course, Zubimendi's coming for Partey. Norgard's coming for Jorginho. Madueke adds so much more quality than what we had, of course, with Sterling. So we're adding. Gyökeres is coming in and adding to that centre-forward position, of course, as well. Mosquera is adding that depth to the defensive area. Tomiyasu was not here all of last season, so effectively didn't have him, hasn't really existed for us. He is adding, of course, to the group as well. Kepa is adding quality to that number 2 goalkeeper position, raising that level of the options that we've got in that role. And the hope is, of course, that we can add Eberechi Eze to be an even more important. Trossard's not gone anywhere at all, Raul. So we can try and twist and change things. Trossard's not gone anywhere yet. So I see what the attempts are there, but it doesn't work. Christopher says, if our signings stop at Gyökeres and we don't sign Eze, can we win the league? Well, of course, Arsenal nearly won the league, of course, without a lot of the players that they now have. 2 seasons ago, finishing just 2 points off of Manchester City. So yes, of course they could win the league, but obviously we are hoping for Eze to come in on top of a Gyökeres shining as well. Let's go to Pappy, who says, question, how many home matches will the Lady Gunners sell out this season? Hopefully all of them. I mean, I have no idea, but I agree with you. Hopefully all of them is the answer to that question. Dan says, I don't get the hate for Madueke. These same people probably didn't want Havertz either. No, you're right. Most of them probably didn't. Probably most of them didn't want a lot of things that have turned out quite good for us. Lord says, Arsenal can sign Gyökeres and Rodrigo. They'll still have Mikel Arteta as their manager. Yes, that's how it works. The Dappers Mo says, morning, Tom. For fans that are not happy about the Madueke deal, can you show his technical and dribbling numbers versus Alanga, Martinelli and Saka? I mean, you can do that yourselves. Just go type in Madueke and FB Ref. You can go and have a look at how well he ranks among those that are absolutely unbelievable progressive carries. He ranks in the 99th percentile, 6.82 progressive carries per 90. 1.99 successful take-ons. He ranks in the 96th percentile for touches in the attacking penalty area of 8.15. His underlying numbers are encouraging, but it's the execution of those moments that are obviously what are going to be scrutinized more so. Owen's given me some golf advice. He says, for breaking 100, 5 wood off the tee, don't flop, bump and run, and putt whenever you can. 10 yards off the green. I'll do that, Owen. I'll follow your advice to a tee. MD says, if a player is moving to complete a deal, must he move out of all furniture from his house to do so? That was obviously fake news. I mean, if a player is moving, they're moving. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's not even in Portugal. We don't know if that's his house. Is it real news or fake news? I guess it's for you to decide, isn't it? YT Nat says, Arsenal seem to be doing efficient business with everybody except Viktor. Does this suggest that Sporting may be overly problematic? Oh, without a doubt. Yes, they are being very, very, very problematic in these negotiations and really dragging this on. Arthur says, hi, Tom. Did you watch the Football's 12th Man with Dan Potts yesterday? It was suggested the qualities of Arteta is disliked about Nicolas Pepe are the same traits possessed by Madueke. I don't think so. A lot of the traits of Nicolas Pepe, of course, that was his execution and, to be honest, his ability to actually take his player on. He had a lot of skills, but rarely did he actually manage to beat his man. That was always kind of the irony with Nicolas Pepe, is that when it came to it, he couldn't actually beat his man. His execution, his consistency, and also his defensive work rate was just quite poor when it was for Arsenal. He was quite lax in possession, and I remember a game against Aston Villa where he came off the bench and nearly cost us 3 points, or 2 points, because it would have been a draw. But no, I don't think so. We've got to wait and see what happens with Madueke before, of course, we start making comparisons to players that haven't worked with Arteta. You'll still have Mikel Arteta, says Lord. When are you going to get it? When is the lesson going to sink in? 7 years down the line? 8, 9? I still don't quite understand what you're saying, Lord. I have no idea what you're talking about. Donald says, Liverpool can't afford this sack. The club knows it. They were just flexing for it. It wasn't ridiculous, Donald. It was actually really quite clever, Liverpool's move for Isak, because what Liverpool's move for Isak did is give them a free run to sign Hugo Ekitike. In my mind, I honestly don't think Liverpool realistically had any inkling or optimism that they were going to sign Alexander Isak. I genuinely don't think they had any idea. But what it did do is it stole a march on a potential rival signing. It meant that Hugo Ekitike's head was turned. It meant that Newcastle backed off, and it gave them a free run at who they actually wanted to sign. I think it was a really, really astute piece of business by Liverpool. And I can't, I'm all for laughing at Liverpool, and I have done with the Will Wright stuff, but I actually think it was quite a clever but cruel, as Amberley says, piece of business on Liverpool. And I respect it. I absolutely respect it. Kieran says, you've mentioned getting right-wing cover was priority for next season, hence Madueke. But getting Rodrigo and Eze would have done that, as Rodrigo has played a lot of games at right wing and Eze could cover the left wing as well. But the reality is that Rodrigo is going to cost a lot more money. Eze as well is costing well over £50 million, upwards of 60 million, close to £70 million. So it's not as easy as saying you could have one over the other, because they both cost a lot more than the price of Madueke, of course. Eze is still expected to be a target of Arsenal separate to that of Madueke. And not only that, but the idea of signing a marquee left winger is not so that if they get injured, or rather the player that you've got to replace gets injured, that you then move them over to the right-hand side and then bring somebody else in to play in the other position. The idea is that you move as few pieces as possible. So if you want to bring in depth to Saka, you bring in a player that is naturally a right winger, not a player who can play right wing and who currently, I'm being told, his numbers are restricted by playing there. You want to keep your best players in their best positions. So you bring in players that naturally cover those roles. Eze can, in my view, naturally cover multiple positions, such as attacking midfield, such as left 8, such as the left-hand side, because he's that good at those positions. Whereas Rodrigo is, He is what he is in terms of the player. But again, I personally feel that there is an overrating of Rodrigo going on this summer. I think he's a great player. I thought he was a great player going into the window, and I would love to see Arsenal sign him. But the way that some people talk about Rodrigo, I think, goes well beyond the level that he actually is, in my opinion, personally. Temi says, Tom, do you see the hypocrisy in the media with regards to Gyökeres not being Premier League proven, but Ekitike is already being hyped despite the not being Prem proven as well? Of course, Temi. It's glaringly obvious how Liverpool and Arsenal are talked about differently. Lords finally managed to write a sentence that has meaning behind it. He says, get a proper coach and you'll win things. Oh, well, never mind. Just bear in mind this manager has already won something and has, of course, taken Arsenal back to the relevancy of competing for titles, of course, and given us the best possibility of winning things, which is what you can do, of course. Before that, we were waiting 1.5 decades for Arsenal to get back into that position. But thankfully, we are back into the position of trying to win those things. And as a result of Arteta's work, we're now one of the most likely teams to win those things because of who we've got. Young King says, do you find it strange no one has moved for Sesko? No, because the price for Leipzig are putting up there is absolutely ridiculous. That price tag is crazy. Alex says, Wisser off to Newcastle. Yeah, and that could have an impact, of course, on Manchester United's hopes of signing Brian Mbeumo. And we don't really know the impact that that's going to have, of course, on that potential signing too. A2 Trappy says, when do you expect the 3 signings that we're working on to be announced? Mosquera could be today. Of course, Madueke, there's less pressure on that announcement because he's not immediately going on the tour. And then Will Wright, who, of course, Arsenal are closing in on and have seemingly wrapped up a deal and beaten Liverpool too. That, again, there's not as much pressure, but hopefully in the next week or so, we could get an announcement there. The fourth one being Gyökeres. Well, let's wait and see. We're still waiting for this confirmation. Nikolai says, I don't think Isak will move this year. Andre says, why should the moving be fake news? Because we don't know if that's actually his house. Like we don't actually have any legitimate confirmation, Andre, if that is his house. We just don't know. We don't know if that is his house. I hope that the stories are accurate, but we don't have any indication at this point in time as to whether or not that is indeed his house. So yeah, that's why we're at the point that we're at. Pablo says, head-to-head Arsenal will beat Liverpool with ball played on the field. I guess we will have to wait and see. Lord says, have you really just said Arteta is a better coach than Wenger? Did you actually? No. There seems to be a problem with writing and listening, Rodney. So maybe there's a rewind button. If you want to click that, feel free. It's there. Marx is assuming we get Eze, but that the Cronkies don't want to pay the stated Rodrigo. Do you think that we'll still seek a left winger? Who would you want? If we get Eze, I'd be very surprised if we go and get another left winger on top of that. Viral says, was it Liverpool or was it actually Newcastle doing clever business by fake bidding for Ekitike? I think it was Liverpool. Black Margot says, Tom, I'm waiting to see Here we go for Gyökeres, but I'm waiting in vain. He has left his house in Portugal. What on earth is going on with the deal? It's still in the advanced stages. I don't know what to tell people. I can only tell you that the deal continues to be negotiated and the final details of this move are still being agreed. And it's as simple as that. The price in principle has been agreed, as we have seen, very widely reported. It's just these finer details. That is all we are waiting for at this point. Right. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in, or nearly all of you, those that could read. Thank you and listen. Thank you for all of you for listening. Do drop a like, of course. Sorry for the shortness of today's show. Off to play some golf today. But I hope you have an absolutely fantastic Friday. It's the weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I'll be back with you at 5 o'clock today, I think, right? Just let me do a quick double check because we've got a special guest lined up. Let me just triple check. Yes, 5 o'clock today. Special show for you with a special guest, a good friend of the show, somebody that you all very much like and talks as quickly as I do often. But have an absolutely fantastic Friday. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.